I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Music Theory Tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. Let's press on to page 43 of the Grade 1 Discovering Music Theory workbook, and we're going to look at exercise 6, and this is the final section on the topic of intervals. In exercise 6, we're asked to name or identify the intervals marked by brackets within these melodies. Now, in the previous sections, if we just turn back to page 42, we've already dealt with melodic intervals where they come one after another as if it was in a melody. And the principle is exactly the same now, but this time we really are within a melody. And so we're just counting the intervals within this little melodic phrase here. Nothing has changed, we're just surrounded by a few more notes that we're not going to concern ourselves with. And so we need to first of all figure out what the first note is. There's our tonic, and so we're counting upwards, always counting from the bottom note up, and we're always treating this bottom note as our tonic. So we have 1, 2, 3, that's a third. Don't forget, always count the given note, the lowest note first, as the 1. That's the only way that you can go wrong. And if you want to, as it tells us here, we've been doing this anyway actually, we can just count the degrees of the scale. So we've established we're counting from C. There are no sharps and flats. We're in C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there we can see that E is indeed a third. It can't be any other E, it's just got to be 1, 2, 3 steps away, but it's a good indication that you've not forgotten to count number 1 as part of the interval. So now we're counting from C all the way up here to the next C up, which we know is an octave, but let's just count it, counting line, space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is an octave, so you can either say octave or you could say eighth. Either of those will do. So we've named some intervals here. We've named melodic intervals actually within their kind of natural setting of a little melody here. So if you think that you've kind of got that sorted now, by all means go ahead and try the rest. If not, work through a few more with me, and then as soon as you feel ready, do press pause and have a go on your own. So now we're in the key of F major. We've got B flats, and we can see that we're counting from either bottom F or this higher F. So we're counting from our tonic of F. So let's just step that out. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Of course it's B flat, but your key signature will deal with that for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so we're counting F as the first step. So 1, 2, counting space line. So on 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a B flat because of the key signature, which is indeed the 4th, and so we know that that's correct. Our tonic has now jumped an octave. We counted from this higher F, but the principle is exactly the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's a 5th, and that's middle C, and we know that C is the 5th, so we know that we've not gone wrong there. Let's try this next one. Again, we're in F major here, but we're in treble clef now, so we can still refer to this to save writing it out again if you want that extra checkpoint. So we're counting from the F, and we're counting space line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We think that's a 6th. That's a note D. D is the 6th, so we know that we're correct. Now we drop down to the lower tonic again here, and then we're going to count from this F up one step. So we've got 1, 2. Remember, this is 1, this is 2. That's the second degree of the scale. The distance between those is a second, and we can be sure of that because we can see that G is the second. And now we're moving to D major. We know that because we've got a key signature of F sharps and C sharps, which is the key signature for D major. And we can also see that we're counting D as our tonic as note 1. So if we just write this out, we have D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Of course, we have F sharps and C sharps, but we don't need to worry about that. Your key signature will do that for us. And so let's count, counting this low D as 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a seventh. And we can concur that because that's a C sharp, F A C sharp, which we know is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th degree of the scale. So that's the distance or the interval of a seventh. And then back down to this tonic, we're counting up from here again. Line, space, line, 1, 2, 3, that's a third. And that's a note F sharp because of the key signature. And so we know that we're correct. Now we have the opportunity to write some intervals for ourselves. And so now we're asked to take some intervals from exercises 4 and 5. So we can choose any of these keys, any of these combinations. But this time we're going to write them as chords or as harmonic intervals. Just so that we know it's the same interval, but we're writing them together as a chord rather than as a melodic interval, one after the other. So let's have a look. What did we have? So our first interval was in C major from C to F. So let's do that. So we need a treble clef. And then we want a C, so we'll have the middle C. And there's an F. Now it's in F, which is a fourth. It's a harmonic interval because they come together. Now we've been asked to add a correct clef. We've done that. Key signature, none is needed because we're in C major. C is our tonic. But we also need to write a time signature. Now I've written this as semi-breves, which are 4 crotchet beats each. So I'm going to write 4, 4. And then we just need a bar line at the end to make that bar complete. So let's choose another interval. I think we'll stay in C major. We'll choose this octave here. I'm going to stay in the treble clef for now. So we need a treble clef. I'll stay in 4, 4 and I'm going to write it as semi-breves again, but now I know that 4, 4 can be written as common time, so I'll do that. And then we have our low, our middle C as the tonic, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's our octave. And again, because it's a harmonic interval, because it's a chord, they've got to be placed one on top of the other. And you've got to get those aligned together so that they're sort of centred together because they both need to be played at the same time exactly. And we don't want the performer to be confused. And if you see that and then this is a little bit to the right, it looks like it's played afterwards. We need to show that they need to be played together. Again, I'm going to stay in the treble clef. Oh, I better put the bar line, hadn't I? Just finish that bar. I'm going to stay in the treble clef, but let's change key now. And let's go into the key of G major. So we need an F sharp. Every good boy deserves football. That's the top line, F sharp. And I'm going to choose this interval of a seventh, I think. You can choose any that you like. Now my key signature will do that job for me, so I don't need to now add that sharp sign. I don't need an accidental because the key signature is going to do that for me. I think we'll change to 3 beats per bar, which means I'm going to have to think about some stems. But first of all, let's just get the note heads in place. Let's deal with one thing at a time. So we have the G, and then we have the 7th of the F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the, oh, there we go, there's the F sharp. But because this is going to be 3 beats, we're going to have this one stem would go up here, but because it's going to be a chord, we're going to have to choose which way to put the stem on. And so we could just have the stems like that to show, because we've got to choose which way. And I think this is higher, although this should go up. It's kind of a choice because it's only sort of 3 steps away from going the other way, whereas that one is further away and sort of calls for the stem to go down more. That kind of outvotes that one. So there we go, bar line. And then now let's choose another one. So let's have this 3rd here. So we're going to go from G to B, staying in the treble clef again. And so we still need the key signature of G major because I'm staying with G as my low note. But I'm going to do the 3rd, which was the G to the B. 1, 2, 3. So place those one on top of the other. But I think this time I'm going to stay with 2 beats in a bar. You can choose. Now, I don't need to put a dot because these are 2 beats if I just put a stem on. Now, if you remember, the stem can go either way. So really, the G and the B can both sound together with the stem going up, and they both kind of will accept that same rule. So I'll just put a bar line, and that's that completed. Let's try a bass clef example now. And we'll move into the key of F major, so we're going to need a B flat. And let's have 4 beats per bar, so we'll go back to 4, 4. Of course, F is going to be our tonic, so we need to work our interval from there. And then I think we'll go, if we're referring back to exercise 4, we'll go for the 2nd, the F to the G. Now, interestingly, when you're writing the interval 2nd, because the notes are so close together, if you wrote them one on top of each other, they'd overlap, and so you'd end up with kind of overlapped notes, and so that can't happen. And so what we do is we write them right next door to each other, so they're actually touching, so they look kind of squished. And then that gives us a harmonic interval. They are played at the same time, and we know that because they're so close together, they're not one after another. It's as close as it can possibly be before it starts overlapping. But also we know that there are 4 beats in this bar, and we have to play them both together, otherwise we'd run out of beats. So that tells us why. So let's put a bar line, and that's that one completed. So a 2nd, when it's written as a harmonic interval, does look a little bit different. I think we'll stay in the bass clef. So let's have the bass clef again. And we'll stay in F major, so we need a B flat again. And again, we'll stay in 4 beats per bar, but we'll write common time. Again, F is our tonic. And referring to exercise 4, I think we can write this 4th. Now here, this 4th, it's F, G, A, B flat, F to B flat. However, because we've written a key signature, we've been asked to write a key signature. We no longer need to add the flat sign, as in this example, because here there's no key signature. We've written it as an accidental, so you don't need to do the same job twice, as it were. And so we just need 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the B, and it's already a B flat because the key signature does that job for us. So that's another interval. Let's put a bar line, that's that one completed. Staying in bass clef, I think. You can choose whichever you like, but we'll stay in bass clef, I think. But let's move into the key of D major, which we know has F sharps and C sharps. So we want an F sharp, good boys deserve football, and a C sharp, all cows, eat grass, all cows. There's the second space, making sure we place the key signature appropriate to the clef. Let's have 3 beats in a bar again, which does make it a little bit tricky because we've got to think about stems. So we're in D major, so our tonic must be D. Let's just get this in place first. I'll worry about the stem afterwards. I know that doesn't make sense just yet, but we'll put the stem in when we decide what else we're going to put. So in D major we had a 4th as well. D, E, F sharp, G. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to the G here, but it's going to be harmonic, so we need it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now here we've got the same decision to make, so we're going to make this into a dotted minim, so we need to put a stem. And here the stem for the middle line can go either way, but then the stem for the top note is above that, so the stem must come down, so this can join on to that. So this kind of swings which way the stem is going to have to go. So that's that question completed. And I think we'll stay in bass clef. But let's revert back to C major. So no key signature. Let's go common time, 4 beats per bar again. C is our tonic, so let's have a C. And then what interval can we have here? Here, let's have this interval of a second then, taking this interval from exercise 5. Up until now, I've only used exercise 4, so let's take this one from exercise 5. So we're going to have a C to a D, that's a second, but we're going to write it as a harmonic interval, so we've got the same scenario here. We can't write it on top, we've got to just squish it onto the side there to make that interval a harmonic interval, so they will still be sounded together even though it looks slightly apart, but they're not going to be absolutely one after another like this. We can't put them any closer, otherwise they will overlap. So I'll just rub that. That looks like I put stems on. I haven't. That's just me showing it's a harmonic interval. Let's put the bar line. And then that's that section completed. And that's the end of our work on intervals for now in this grade. We are told that we can have some more practice on page 55 in the practice exam paper. However, I'm going to suggest we leave that because I think we'll just give ourselves time to kind of forget it a little bit, and then it will give us an opportunity to revise that and refresh our memory later. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.